to the channel, folks. Ross Glass, Gaz PXM, Mosh Shinobi. There's not, we'll do some brief update before we really get into the nitty gritty, guys. But what up, guys? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, what up, man? All good. Looking forward to getting into this.
Turn down my phone a little bit so I don't have any obnoxious rings.
Same as we just heard one go off as you said it.
Right. It's the Revenant 2015 PXF Classic. I learned a little bit more. I sent Gaz some behind the scenes stuff, but like we said, we'll just see if any of you guys populate in. What up, Slip? What up, Pixie? We know the signal. We know the signal's a little wonky with YouTube. We all know how YouTube goes. What was I gonna say? Yes, I did the Prezi over on Mysteries of Mr. Belgique. Go check out my Z Inspiration stuff there, and then I posted some things under posts, such as some of the Ned Kelly stuff I've been researching, guys. The 1880 crime, and there's a movie on that with Heath Ledger as well. But yeah, we're gonna get into a lot of things that I found. Yeah, dude, this movie's classic, Slip, for sure. There's definitely a PXF classic. Nice to revisit it. Man, I feel so. Obviously, the Camera X trailer. Go check out Lauren's channel, Average Superstar TV. Like, sub, share that. It's obviously shared on mine as well. Just share it on the gram, but we're gonna get it posted here as well as Dark Military Rogue. Other than that, I don't really think there's much channel news, guys. We're hoping to do the Boondock Saints special St. Paddy's Day next weekend, guys. Irish holiday, so everyone's Irish next weekend. St. Paddy's Day, the Boondock Saints 1. Directed by Troy Duffy, starring on Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery. Sean Patrick Flannery, excuse me. I think I messed up some of those. Those three names are hard, right, guys? So it's like a tongue twister. You know what I mean? And then we got the schedule coming up there. Still working on booking some other shows regarding Cooper and Zodiac. So I'll keep you guys posted on those, but as always, the best thing to do is get a membership or join my Patreon, where I posted my 10th victim article, and I'm definitely gonna have more stuff coming up on that. So let's see. So I want a documentary about I did watch something about that before we came on, and we're definitely going to talk about the historical inaccuracies and the real story and such. I'm surprised there's not, because there's that documentary type movie about the Kelly gang. There's like 2 or 3 movies about that. And also in the description, real quick, guys, I stuck the Revenant trailer, but I also stuck the documentary, which is like about making the movie or whatever. It's on the hard copy called A World Unseen. I actually didn't get to watch that one because I was reading Wikipedia and doing other research, but I definitely want to watch that. It's free on YouTube as well, so I put the link below in the description. So, like, basically what me and Gaz are coming to, it's like a almost 2-hour, 40-minute film. We're probably not going to cover every production detail and every plot detail here, so go watch the mini docs and stuff. If you want to know about how the movie was made, I would say go watch those. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah, and at one time, if you want us to cover the actual documentary about the real Hugh Glass, we could do that, because that's definitely our thing as well. So we would enjoy getting into that. I am pretty stoked for Boondock Saints. It's been a long time since I watched that, so that's
classic.
To get into that
so
next
much
week.
Good stuff in Boondock.
Crypt Rick, so shout out to Crypt Rick. They have the Horror Express coming up in a few weeks as well with Jerome, so that's going to be good as well. Invasion USA, of course, which I cannot keep like I say every week, but yeah, I'm hyped for that too.
We got some Norris going for you.
Yeah, def. But today, the Revenant is a particular favorite of mine and Ross's. Interesting fun fact: we did review this movie years ago on our old radio show, and I was saying to Ross off air, the time it came out was the same year as Mad Max Fury Road, and there was, of course, The Force Unawakens, which we'd been conned with, and we were roasting that at the time, and then we were thankfully blessed with these 2 really good movies, so it's going to be very enjoyable to revisit The Revenant.
Yeah, absolutely, and I probably picked up quite a few things now that I didn't know back then about the source material, like Pixie was saying, and then about the actual film itself. But this one, I just have a lowly Blu-ray. no special steel book or you know what I mean, any kind of 4K copy to show you guys. But it did come with the digital copy, which was cool. So I do have that backed up.
Nice.
I always like to have those in case somebody pries my hard copy out of my cold dead hands, like Hugh Glass left on a frozen mountaintop. So we'll get right into it, guys. 2015, 2 hours, 36 minutes. It's rated R because it covers extreme situations. We're going to get into exactly what those are. A frontiersman on a fur trading expedition in the 1820s fights for survival after being mauled by a bear and left for dead by members of his own hunting team. So I like that very vague description of the synopsis, guys.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad they do that though, because there is so much that happens in this film in terms of world building, character development, so many sub stories.
Yep.
So I like that they actually do leave that to the watchers, because if they gave too much away, it'd ruin the movie.
Yeah,
this is one you have to watch.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and you can keep it basic too, right? It's a story about being double crossed on a fur trapping mission.
Yeah.
But right when we get into, I remember when the trailer came out, like we knew this was going to be the most state of the art action production. Right when you get into that first scene, which I guess is them kind of recovering some furs, kind of introduction to Hugh Glass's party with Fitzgerald. They're under attack by the natives. Is it a deal gone wrong? What they didn't, I don't know. They didn't show it, right? They just attacked them. I don't think they were negotiating.
They just attacked them, but we're kind of given a subplot later with the.
There was a previous attack early on.
Yeah, there's a previous attack, and the chief is looking for his daughter, who some of the fur trappers have taken
the French
hostage. But it's the French ones. But
yeah.
To the First Nations folks, they're pretty much any of the fur trappers. They could have her or know something, so they're all attacked on sight, and there's some very, very brutal exchanges, which you are quickly introduced to right from the offset, pretty much.
Well, I would push back on that, Pixie. I mean, I understand not caring for DiCaprio, but like this is by far the best performance in his career. He just does so much. DiCaprio kind of disappears and rides shotgun to Hugh Glass because he literally became the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Yeah, I agree with you. Like Hugh Glass is obviously more badass historically, but it's not going to show DiCaprio's character walk 400 miles by foot in a movie because that would be an 8-hour scene. You know what I mean? So it all needs to be like Gaz was saying, like little snapshots of what he actually did and kind of working in the survival elements. So just to talk about DiCaprio's performance, he said that it was the most difficult performance of his life. He had to learn how to make fire. He had to learn how to like survive out there with nothing. He was working with an ancient medicine man and training with him and stuff. So, me and Gaz will kind of come into some of the stuff that he does. But right off the rip, Gaz, we have this juxtaposition of DiCaprio, like, his survival instinct, like leave the furs, get to the boat. And then you have like Fitzgerald trying to collect the furs, like get the furs. So it sets up like Fitzgerald's greed motive. That even though his guys are getting, chainsawed down around him, he's still trying to get those furs, which on some end, like I can understand that's the reason why you're out there. But like when you're under attack by a war party, as you said, you're just going to sit there and literally collect every bundle of furs while those arrows are raining down on you. Like it doesn't seem realistic. You know what I mean? Like.
No, it certainly doesn't. I mean, in that moment, it's going to be right, survive, and
right.
You pretty much see Fitzgerald's motivations regarding his character. He's wanting to try and save some of the pelts, take them with him. Say, look, I've worked blood, sweat, and tears. I don't want to come away with nothing. Others, no, leave the pelts. It's not worth it. Yeah, Slips pointed out they also want to take the pelts for themselves as well. Mm. It's a very brutal depiction of survival in many forms, both Hugh Glass's endurance, the human spirit, and then the different factions surviving out in the plains, which is why we enjoyed, what was that show with Jason Momoa, the one we really dug.
The Frontier, I believe it's called. The Frontier.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's worth a watch as well.
Half Irish, half native character.
Yeah.
And a bit of a different element here. So Hugh Glass has spent time with the Pawnee, and then he's got his son with him, Hawk, half white, half native. Fitzgerald is obviously like an American racist, so he's just like anti kind of native, and that comes across. But yeah, so the way the director, I'll probably butcher this guy's name. I think he did I think he did Birdman was what I was reading on Wikipedia, and I don't know what else this guy did or where he went after this. Alejandro Inarritu, probably going to butcher his last name. Sorry about that, sir. This guy is the GOAT, and the way he was swinging the cameras on the cranes in and out of this first shootout where, obviously the trappers are fighting back. That one shot where I think a dude gets arrowed and Hugh Glass aims at the native on the top of the treetop, like he climbed the whole thing. Like they're just like this is like one of the most hyper real movies, even near neo-Western. One of the most hyper real movies of all time. There's nothing at any point in this movie that like looked unrealistic to me, didn't look like it worked, didn't look out of place. I mean, you could just in terms of detail, you can tell me if I'm right on that,
I think you're 100% right, because I've got to say for this as well, I know I talk about this a lot in our reviews with cinematography, but this is a very special movie for that. The opening shot in the forest, really beautiful. It's all quiet. Mm-hmm. There's a narrative piece to accompany. I'm not going to drop any spoilers on that for those who haven't seen it. Then I believe that's when you hear the musket shot, and of course it's the attacking the fur traders, which we've just been chatting about. Very brutal. Yeah, that's shot. Yeah, but that's continued throughout the movie, because there's a later scene where DiCaprio is chased out of the forest by himself, pursued by the Ree. And it's the scene they showed it in the trailer when it was released back in the day, where he goes over the edge on his horse.
Yeah.
And even that, I'll just say until we get to it, how he has to survive the cold. Yeah. They've got all the survival elements, which is realistic. You're going to have to do some uncomfortable things, or you'll be dead.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll be coming to the DiCaprio performance of those two breakout moments between that and then eating the buffalo bits with the other, the helpful Good Samaritan native that he encounters, which I forgot. What was he, Pawnee? I think he said like he got attacked by the Swede.
Yeah, he was going to travel south, wasn't he?
Yeah. So we'll come to him. Another. He's kind of like a legendary. He's basically like a juxtaposed Hugh Glass. He's like a native Glass in some respects. They both have those like revenge missions, and that's why they bond. Both their families have been lost. We'll come to that character. He has like a absolutely legendary cameo. I actually read that he's an actual Navajo actor, Gaz. So not all of the the language is stacked with the characters, but like they are authentic actors, obviously, or it would never happen. So we'll go more into the language and the Native American on-set consultants. But as far as where was I going when we started that thing out? I know where it was. So as Gaz was saying, with the angles and the elements, I felt like his lower upward trajectory shot was like a very like Kurosawa style Yokimbo shot, like how he was shooting the rooftops in the towns, as you said, with the trees. So this director uses the trees and specifically the wind through the trees for almost all the transitions, as Gaz was saying. So it starts there, and he basically carries that throughout the movie. Like whenever something's going to happen, because it's like, I guess what the metaphor is, and like you could have this violent thing happening with guns and tomahawks or whatever, these guys ripping each other's to shreds, but ultimately it's all going to get covered by the snow. It's all going to get blown over and frozen. So like whatever happens in there is just going to kind of get covered up by nature, right? It's kind of just like it's like human nature, and then it get covered over by natural.
It's kind of like suggesting that cycle of renewal and rebirth. Like there'll be something brutal, return to serenity and starting over again. That's shown even from the transitions from night to day. Yes, from Last of the Mohicans and many other movies. I also think, wasn't he Sagat in the Street Fighter movie? Possibly worth studying.
I believe he was. Yeah.
Good point, Slip. But I love that where you and that darkness as well. that came in throughout the movie, where it would go to the still of night and you could hear everything, and that's just how it would be if you're out there in the wilderness, anywhere around the world. Everything quiet,
would echo and carry, especially with the frozen ground, you know, and the wind. The only thing ripping through the trees. So as Gaz said, no, definitely Sam Elliott. As Gaz said, these directors and cinematographers, they used all natural light, Gaz. I don't know if you knew that. So it's almost 100% natural light, and that's Gaz talked about those night to day transitions as like you spend all day tracking. Like obviously the bad stuff is going to happen at night, whether you encounter your enemy or whatever. And the only unnatural light they used was the campfire scene when Fitzgerald was talking crap to Hawk. You know what I mean? So that's kind of nuts to think like a modern 2015 movie that they almost didn't, you know, because most movies are 99% fabricated light. And I get why you do that. You know, you got two ninjas fighting in the dark. They obviously need to be lit or you can't see them. You know what I mean? So, but you know what I mean? It's just like a lot that went into the production of this stuff. So yeah, basically like Glass is hired to, you know, help that military party get in and out. The intro is actually him watching the American soldiers burn down the native village of the Great Plains. And then, as Gaz said, the Iroquois War, which is the territory of the present-day Dakotas. Let's see. So, so the war party is actually looking for... let's see if it says his name. The war party is looking for the chief's abducted daughter. I believe his name was Elk something. It'll pop up here. Powaka. And the Americans get absolutely decimated in that battle. They escape onto the boat, guided by Glass. The survivors begin to trek back to Fort Kiowa on foot because he believes traveling down the river will make them vulnerable. While scouting, Glass is mauled to near death by a female grizzly bear. And that's kind of like when the party ditches him. This is like the big scene that's obviously in the trailer, guys. So we could obviously cover this a bit, and it's pretty straightforward. But he gets absolutely decimated by the grizzly bear. I felt rather watching it again. I've seen we filmed 2 or 3 times. It still looks pretty realistic to me.
It does, and I think this. Do you remember that trend that was going around where there was girls saying, "Would they rather be alone with a bear or a guy in a forest?" Well, kind of watch this, and this will help clarify things for you because essentially, it's a mother bear who is defending her cubs.
It's a dead
someone want them up.
So,
and this is. I remember. I remember when I saw it for the first time. And I saw it on the big screen. And I'll just say, when he's first mauled, you think that's the end of it. And then, of course, the bear comes back. I remember cringing. I remember back in the day as well, we were talking about it, and we were particularly talking about this scene as well. And it still has that same impact. And if you think of how the guy came back from this as well, which is huge testament to the human spirit. It's very well done. I think very, very realistic. Of course, very, very brutal. There's even parts where Glass is laying still, pretending to be dead. So it thinks the bear would lose interest. And of course, there's that part where the bear has his foot on Glass's head, and you think how much the bear is going to weigh. So that pressing down on your head, it's like going to crush your skull almost. And then there's another shot with the bear raking his back to see if he's actually moving or not. And Glass then is, of course, he's trying not to cry out. So which would then stimulate the bear to continue. And
for sure,
man, such a brutal scene. Right from, he stood there for one moment, that opening shot, the way it's filmed, Ross, and turns around, you just see the bear charging and then knocks him over. The way that is shot as well to show you how sudden and impactful that would be. Very, very ferocious filmmaking, pun intended.
Yeah, absolutely realistic. So when he gets to the den, it's quiet. Obviously, the would be right because the mother's there, so nothing's getting crossing through there without getting checked. the bears, like the way I interpreted it was like he was smelling Glass's breath, because Gaz said like when he stops breathing, it could, it could tell, if you're not having the breath or not. Of course, the bear's breath in the camera lens just did an absolutely insane effect, and it doesn't take away. You're not like, hey, I'm watching a movie. And I remember when I watched it in the theater, and just the sound really came across in the theater. So if you have like people who have home theaters, if you have like a really good high quality projection screen with good speakers and stuff, this movie's perfect for that. Yeah. But he breathes into the camera lens, and it just like, it doesn't, it's not like breaking the fourth wall or anything like that. Like it ruins it for you. Like it really, especially with some of those close-ups, he does this again in the final fight with Fitzgerald and Glass. Yeah. But you really feel like you're there. Even when Fitzgerald, not when Glass escapes that time, and he's under the cliff in the river, and he's looking up at them, like some of those first-person camera angles, like his close-up game again. And you pointed this out in the Kurosawas, but I feel this director must have some like Kurosawa influence, because his close-up game is like incredible when he's like putting you in whether it's the bear scene, the cliffside scene, or even that ending fight.
It almost feels in parts like you could be taking a ride on an actual documentary or witnessing something unfold. Literally, somebody trying to survive in this setting. It definitely feels like that. Particularly that scene, as you said, which they do try and replicate a little in the Predator Prey movie. And that continues when they do discover Glass in that scene, and he throws himself in the water, and he's traveling down the rapids. And then the camera not only shows you the rapids and the waterfall as well, just how dangerous this is, but then you see the Ree on the banks of the side. I mean, they're shooting arrows, but you get that close up of the faces as well, and it just somehow makes the whole thing more authentic and more realistic. It's almost like I'm going to sound so cliche here, but it's true. It's almost like we were taking a journey back in time, and we're witnessing this unfold.
Yeah, dude, it's like if someone could have had 4K high-res cameras back then and brought you into the events like that. Obviously, cameras barely existed back then, so it wouldn't look nearly as clean as this. One thing we haven't mentioned yet is the score, which I thought was excellent, Gaz. I thought it was the perfect complement to what you were seeing on screen. Not, kind of had the booming kind of, Kurosawa natural, vibe to it, mood, but never at any point did it clash or, not work with what you were seeing on film. So obviously he shoots the bear. I believe it's in the neck with the rifle. I think he tries to get his pistol. He gets his knife. He stabs out its neck. The cubs come up. In the actual story, Pixie, Glass was attacked by the cubs and by the bear and her cubs. He got torn apart by all three and survived that. So if you don't think that Hugh Glass is the most badass frontiersman, that guy is, dude. And that's just like 2% of the actual story that happened.
Dude, that's not someone you would ever want to spar with, is it? You'd be like, no thanks. I'll just take a pass.
No crap. That guy's like a human Terminator, man. Such a cool guy to make a character about, though. Like, holy crap. So mauled and left near death by a female grizzly bear. Fearing another Arikara attack, Fitzgerald, one of the trappers, argues that the group must mercy kill Glass, keep moving. Henry agrees, but he's unable to pull the trigger. Instead, he offers to pay anyone to stay with Glass and bury him after he dies. When only volunteers are Hawk and the young Jim Bridger, Fitzgerald, wanting the money to recoup his losses from the abandoned pelts, also agrees to stay. After the others leave, Fitzgerald attempts to smother Glass, but is stopped when Glass's son Hawk intervenes. Hawk holds Fitzgerald at gunpoint and shouts for Bridger, who's away gathering water, but Fitzgerald stabs Hawk to death as Glass watches helplessly. An absolutely insane scene. The next morning, Fitzgerald convinces Bridger, who's unaware of Hawk's murder, that the Arikara are approaching and they must abandon Glass. At first, Bridger protests, but he ultimately follows Fitzgerald after the latter leaves Glass half buried alive in a makeshift grave. Bridger leaves a canteen on which he engraved a spiral symbol with Glass. The next morning, Bridger forces Fitzgerald to admit that there's no pursuing Arikawa. They reach the fort, and Fitzgerald falsely reports to Henry that Hawk vanished and Glass died. Bridger is complicit in the lie about Glass's death, but remains unaware of Hawk's murder. There's a lot we can break down there. Obviously, I love the spiral canteen, such a cool theme. It's a symbol of water, symbol of survival. You know, the fact that they left it with him is like one of the only reasons the water kept him alive. Blah blah blah. But you know, anything else that strikes you about any of those scenes, guys?
Well, the one you just mentioned, definitely, which is used as a reminder later. I forgot the actual term for that when it's used in movies and stories. And yeah, that was so convenient to forget that as well. Now we're live, but it'll come back at some point, I'm sure. I just think the acting, in particular, right from Fitzgerald offering to do, if you like, a mercy killing on Glass. And read him his last rites, and Glass isn't in any position to answer. And and when Fitzgerald is saying, right, just blink. Well, his eyes have been open for quite a long time, so there's a natural blink which doesn't really suggest that. Glass is okay, you off me, I'm fine with that. So exactly. The acting here is phenomenal all around, particularly from Glass's son as well, and I think the way
Hawk was dope.
Hawk was excellent. Also, the camera work on the snow, and it's showing the grave that he's made, and it's almost like the way the filmmaker, the way Alejandro shot this scene is almost like it's like that's, as you were saying, Ross, earlier, that nature happens, so something brutal can happen, then we'll cover that up, and then we'll move on to the next chapter.
It washes it away.
Yeah, there's a lot of like kind of hints that he's intentionally doing here to drive the story forward.
A lot of foreshadowing, as you said, grave shot in the background. I love the river shot. Starts on a river, ends on a river. Obviously Fitzgerald kills Hawk on a river, and we're coming to what Glass does to Fitzgerald. And
also the constant threat of danger. I think this is the part where, Fitzgerald says to Hawk, right, keep quiet, or you're going to get us all killed as well. So although we've got this story happening between Glass and Fitzgerald, the constant threat of the Ree in the background. What up, Greg? Thanks for coming through. What up, Red Cloud? That I thought was pretty cool as well. So yes, there's obviously the problem of betrayal by Glass's men, but also the background threat of the Ree pursuing them. That they can't linger too long, or they're going to get caught up with it at some point, and then they all could be killed.
For sure, and especially since Elk is looking for his daughter, so there's there's like multiple active war parties. Yeah, seemingly,
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, you're given an insight into Fitzgerald's motivations right from the start. We know this guy probably ain't going to be the best of characters.
No.
But it shows as well in that survival situation how it not only brings out the best in people, but you get the other side where we see the worst. And like
100%.
Fitzgerald is kind of like, we've got the noble, I'm not going to give up, the enduring human spirit with Glass. And then we have the opposite of that with Fitzgerald, who, no, I want to survive it at any cost. And if that means me stepping on you to survive, I will do so.
Yep, 100%. Let me ask you this, because we'll do a little behind the scenes thing. DiCaprio and Hardy had that bet that DiCaprio thought Hardy would get the Oscar nominee nod. You think they both could have got it? You think Hardy could have got it for Fitzgerald? Do you think maybe like they gave it to DiCaprio so they felt like they couldn't give them to him both?
I think they both could have got it. Like I said, I think the acting in this movie is phenomenal. Even some of the supporting characters are good. The captain, he's pretty good.
He is really good.
Even some of the other guys in their unit are good as well. The dude, Slip, you can help me on this. The Southern Brit guy, I've seen him in various movies. He was pretty good. So yeah, definitely Fitzgerald and Glass are definitely the standout characters for sure. But yeah, I 100% could have gone to both.
Yeah, I felt like maybe they just felt like because they gave it to DiCaprio, and then I think it got Best Picture as well, so they thought like if it sweeps with both actors, like it was too much. But I disagree with that decision. I think everyone I've ever talked to, it's always said that Hardy was the standout villain in this film. You know what I mean? So let's see. Obviously, when what's his name, Bridger confronts Fitzgerald about lying about that stuff. That's a cool scene. Switching the rifle on him. Yeah. And then when they go in and they get to the fort, really good directing there when the captain goes up to the safe and he shows his footsteps, Fitzgerald watching the creaks of the floorboards with the dust when he opens the safe. Obviously that sets up foreshadowing of how Fitzgerald's going to go try the safe, which is a cool little nod there.
I thought as well with the fort, and we can come to this a little bit later, you can definitely see the influence on American Primeval. I mean, we know one of the guys has been involved there, but I was just getting flashbacks to that series while
100%. Yeah, I mean, so the reason we decided to do this, guys, was Gaz put me on to American Primeval, and we had it on the list, but obviously our schedule got bumped around, so we'll still try to get it on there. That's probably the closest thing to the Revenant. Obviously, Revenant has a much higher budget. We'll cover that. I think it was supposed to start at 50-60 million, and obviously look at how the film looks. It basically doubled that. I think it more than doubled that, which was not their goal. But when your film makes 500 plus million at the box office, you can go 30-40 over above budget. I mean they basically all got Oscars. Who was going to criticize them? The director was like, yeah, so what? I spent twice your amount of money, and
look what happened. Yeah.
Anybody else clean sweep the Oscars? Yeah, didn't think so, bud. So we talked about their return to the fort. Glass starts an arduous journey through the wilderness. He performs a crude cauterization. I want to talk about this, of his wounds, and alludes to the pursuing Arikara by jumping into the river rapids. So, all right, this thing. Oh, well, I think I just lost Gaz. Come back to us, Gazzy. I'll rock with you guys in the chat while we see if we can get Gazzy back. There he is. Gazzy, we got you back.
About that, folks. Yeah. Sorry about that, folks.
All good. So when he puts the so he creates that flame, obviously with the tinder, but friggin' when he puts that gunpowder stuff in his neck and he cauterizes, I've never heard of that anywhere. I assume it's a real thing. That's why they did it, but I've just never seen or heard of that anywhere else. So that must be some ancient emergency technique, to me, which I just thought was insane.
Yeah, it was, and
looked like it hurt.
Yeah, that's why it would be great to cover that documentary and maybe look at something where they're showing you some of these survival techniques, because there's got to be something where there'll be some people who have demonstrated, right, this would work. This is what he did back then. This was a common technique or whatever.
I think that was the knowledge that when he trained with that ancient healing guy, that was obviously one of the things the guy told him. So when you get mauled by a bear, you get your throat slashed by a bear. It's probably true, Greg. That's probably true, my man. I didn't even watch the third one, but Gaz and I did watch Venom, Pooh, Let There Be Garbage.
Yeah, I'm afraid to watch the third one.
I'm sure I will, just for Venom and for Hardy, but not really because I care much about it. I mean, Hardy's in Mobland, that new mob project. I didn't watch that trailer yet, and obviously Havoc. We're gonna review Havoc here.
Yeah,
so
that looks sick.
If you want to jump on Havoc with us, Greg, that looks like a Hardy movie. That's gonna be great. Yeah, I know you're into the combat stuff. So crude counterization. He counters Pawnee refugee Haikuk, who tells Glass that revenge is in the creator's hands. That's the mythos, the theme of the movie. The men share bison meat and travel together, but there's a little bit more on that. So the liver that he threw him to eat, guys, DiCaprio is a vegetarian, and he ate that raw liver. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's
bro, I bet you his stomach was wrenching, bro, because when you're vegetarian, you eat meat, your body instantly rejects it. You know what I mean? So dude. And then that was just crazy. We're talking about Lucas Haas. He was the Amish lad in The Witness.
I don't think it was him. I can't recall.
About a British chap.
Yeah, I can't recall his name now, but he's obviously from down south.
We could pull him up on the see if it's one of the guys we see on IMDb. So yeah, they have a moment. That's what me and Gaz were talking about. This the Navajo actor. He obviously says like his family was killed by the Sioux. It's like an American guy, a native guy, both wanting revenge. They have some moments together, eating some snowflakes. Even a scene like that when there's just nothing going on and they're just eating snowflakes, like giggling, like it has like the best cinematography you've ever seen. The snowstorm obviously comes in. He creates the sweat lodge for Glass, who has the hallucinogenic experience in the lodge. All of these scenes are like amazing. Like, and again, let's talk about the pacing. It's a 2.5 hour movie, guys, but it flies. It flies. I don't know. I mean, Havoc is coming out next month, I think. I think that Statham movie, A Working Man, is coming out. I might go check it because the theater over here is going to close. But yeah, I don't know. Not on the mainstream. I couldn't tell you, brother.
Well, considering 2024 was not really that great, 2025 hasn't really started out any better so far.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Bruce Lee set the bar way too high. So this is where it starts picking up, guys. Guys, whoever's listening to me here. Emerges from this sweat lodge. Discover the French-Canadian hunters have lynched Haikuk. So he infiltrates their camp and sees the leader, Toussaint, raping Powaka. Glass frees her. She castrates Toussaint and flees while Glass kills several hunters and recovers Haikuk's horse. The following day, Glass is ambushed by the Arikawa, driven over a cliff on his horse. He survives that night by eviscerating the dead horse and sheltering inside its carcass. So he pulls the Han Solo Tauntaun Luke Skywalker, and he pulls all the organs out of the horse carcass, climbs inside of it, and sleeps out the night snowstorm. Absolutely brutal scene. I mean, between this and eating the bison liver, like you've already seen Glass do two crazy things at this point in the film.
Yeah, that's the scene I was referring to earlier for sure. I mean, when he first, just before that happens, when he's pursued by the Ree, Glass wakes up. There's an arrow literally flies. I think it hits the tree where he is actually, and then of course he has to get out there fast. Can't take much with him. Gets on a horse. He's being pursued. They showed you this on the trailer a lot. Very brutal. Camera work here is good because they show you the arrows whizzing past him.
Yep.
Even though we're obviously watching this on film, you get a sense that you can feel the air, the wind as well.
Absolutely.
The scene where it goes over the edge and the way it's shot in the tree, and you see Glass.
Oh my gosh!
When that first shows you the horse and Glass on the ground, you know, that camera work, and you're thinking, man.
Yeah, he lands in the tree, the pine tree. That's what saves Glass. You guys know I'm from, just south of the White Mountains, so I know pine forests well. But wow.
Yeah, and then there's that, classic, as you were saying, like an Empire Strikes Back scene with when Luke had to obviously cut up and, survive. And of course, Glass does this, but, oh man, it spares no kind of, well, it's certainly not PG, is it? They show you everything.
There's no cutaways. Every organ that you don't want to see come out comes out. There's no cutaways. It's close-ups, basically.
Did you notice as well when he gets into the horse's carcass, and of course he pulls the fur together to keep warm. His breath again coming out of the camera. That close-up shot on his breath. Just to emphasize just how cold it is. I mean, you can clearly see with all the snow that's falling. That was really good.
I'm pretty sure it's sub-zero temperatures. He said it's the most uncomfortable he's ever been on a film, and he was constantly freezing. So I'm pretty sure like his lips all messed up and crap. That was real. We didn't really mention any of the shooting locations, but there's Calgary, Alberta, Canada, British Columbia, Burnaby, and then we'll get to that final sequence, which I believe is Argentina. Because towards the end, Canada was actually too warm. So, I mean, just take a look at this film.
Wow.
Dude, insane. So, I mean, dude, just the survival instincts and just the survive. I think this is the best survival film of all time. There is something on here, Gaz, that I recommend that we check out. This film's considered a remake of The Man in the Wilderness, 1971. And we might have mentioned that way back in the day when we talked about it. But I've never seen that. I think we should put it on the list because I would definitely like to watch what other survival films are even, even close to this. A French survivor staggers into Fort Kiowa, and Bridger recognizes the man in Spiral Grave Canteen, believing that it was stolen. Henry organizes a search party. Fitzgerald, realizing that Glass is alive, empties the outpost safe and flees, intending to reach Texas. The search party finds the exhausted Glass. Furious, Henry orders the arrest of Bridger, but Glass vouches for him, saying Bridger was deceived by Fitzgerald, who murdered Hawk. Glass and Henry set out in pursuit of Fitzgerald. So this is like I actually paused the film at about 2 hours, and I finished the last half hour this morning, guys. I think this last half hour is like one of the most epic chases of all time with Henry and Glass. Henry's going to get Fitzgerald himself, but Glass insists to get revenge for his son, and also Glass is the master tracker, so he's like you can't even find him without me. So
all the while he's been advised to rest or he could die as well. The Native American guy suggested that when he gets back to the fort, suggesting that. So this definitely again highlights just how he wasn't even in 100% condition, but his drive for justice, for vengeance, to catch up with Fitzgerald, that overrides anything else. I mean, these are small nerd details here, but when they use, I've remembered now what they call it, something used to drive the plot forward. When they discuss the MacGuffin, for those that have done any kind of writing or film writing out there, MacGuffin, sorry, not MacGuffin, MacGuffin. When they're discussing the MacGuffin, if I've got that 100% right, hopefully, which is Glass's water canteen, and that's shot in the fort when they're one of the survivors from the French fur traders that you were talking about, Ross, where he survives. He makes it back to the fort and says, "Look, somebody attacked us, killed us." And then the expression and that camera close up on Fitzgerald, played by Tom Hardy, when they see Glass's water can there in the fort, that was incredible. And also, people might think, well, why are you not noticing this? But the play, what he was having as well, that was quite period authentic and accurate. Little things like that really make this film.
Sure.
So that was really well worth noting. But bringing it back up to speed, when Glass and the captain set out to go and track Fitzgerald down, the way that was set up, man, to generate that chase, it's all quiet. You've got the whole view of this very serene landscape again as Fitzgerald with his musket, thinking, right, I'm going to take Glass out. It was using that transitional effect again, which I thought was demonstrated superbly.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole setup. So ultimately, they split up. Fitzgerald gets the better of Henry. He scalps him to make it look like the natives. Glass, when Glass finds Henry's body, there's that avalanche behind him. That is just like a sick nature shot. You know what I mean? It's just like Gaz said, it's kind of a pull-out widescreen and just slow with the avalanche coming down. It's just more of like a wind and kind of like, letting the music do its thing. What was I going to say? So, as Gaz said, Glass comes up with the ruse of the decoy, where he props up the Henry bottle on the Henry body on the horses, and they've got the two horses, and then that gets Fitzgerald to shoot him, thinking it's Glass, which gives away his position. When Fitzgerald comes down there to, appreciate it, Jeff. Whatever content that you want on PXF, man, just let us know. So Glass pulls the old riding on the other horse as a backpack, pops out with the pistol, gets Fitzgerald in the shoulder. So just the whole sequence is insane, like Gaz was saying.
And was this just before or after where he sees the kind of, I guess, the signs of a possible avalanche? The snow coming down.
Yeah, that's when he found Henry's body. That was the avalanche was in the background pouring.
Yeah, that was good as well.
Yeah. Great transition. And then also when he goes to track Fitzgerald, he jumps in the stream, which is just sick because it's going to cover both of their footprints. So it's like you have to follow the water, just little, and how sick the stream looked. Just little things like that are like hyper realism,
And man, I know we're getting to this the next scene, but that hand-to-hand combat fight between Fitzgerald and Glass before we get to the penultimate scene, that's probably still one of the most brutal hand-to-hand combat scenes we've seen on a film.
It reminds me of what's that movie with is it called Hunted? The Benicio del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones when he trains right at the end.
The knife at the end. Yeah, that's another one.
They create the rock knives and the.
Yeah, we should cover that actually.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I love that movie. I mean, I guess we could put that in the survivalism genre along with this, and that's probably the only other like survival movie I'm super hype on besides this. So bit of a chase here, a slide down another slope. Fitzgerald goes down first. Hugh chases him down. I think Hugh loses his pistol down the hill.
He does. His pistol
slides out.
Yeah, slides out away from him.
But he's still got the tomahawk. So couple setups with them. Fitzgerald's wounded in the shoulder. A couple standoffs, get into the fight. The epic, it ain't gonna bring your boy back though line is the big Tom Hardy line. Like still, actually he's talking crap to him about killing his son basically the whole fight up until when
saying we had a deal.
Yeah. He's like, there was no deal. They take some swings at each other, fall on top of each other, roll around on each other. Very physical fight, like Gaz was saying. This was I was telling you about Gaz with the close up angles of the fight because you feel like you're rolling around on the ground with them, like you were saying. Like it really, that kind of first person camera really puts you into the perspective of the characters. And it's a very claustrophobic confrontation as well.
Yeah, intentionally so, and I think it's to show you the reality of how close quarters combat can be. It's not pretty. It's brutal. It's disgustingly brutal. It's showing you the facial expressions again. It emphasizes the breath in the air from the characters again throughout, which has happened throughout the film, which was excellent.
The pain from the wounds.
Yeah, the pain. How something when you get an injury like that, you aren't going to you're going to get up straight away and just like, oh yeah, that was nothing.
Yeah, like the unrealistic action movies where they just bounce back. Like I felt like when they got hurt, like they seemed wounded and it left that thing. It wasn't like like me and Gaz always said, like some guy gets shot in the knee and then he runs up a car and throws a 360 roundhouse up it. It's like you can't really do that after you get a serious leg wound.
Yeah, and it shows you how it affects mobility and coordination when you sustain injuries like that. How even though you sustain heavy injuries, you are still going to fight and linger on. But it shows you how then it becomes even more unfocused. Timing can be off. It's even more grittier.
The injuries accumulated as well throughout the fight.
Yeah, the effect. I mean, this isn't just before he puts Tom. Oh, I'm going to try and behave myself because we'll get there. When Glass is crawling on top of Fitzgerald, and it's showing you. I mean, Glass has obviously taken a hell of a lot of injuries, and he's not 100% already. And it's showing you that just like gradual, very, very slow climb to then try and finish Fitzgerald off, which of course then we get the dialogue in a moment and a very very powerful closing scene.
Absolutely, yeah. So everything comes full circle with what Haikuk told Glass, but basically, so Glass gets him with the tomahawk across his throat with his hand. So Hardy reaches up and switch hands, stabs Glass in the left thigh. Believe it is. They hit the ground again. Glass lunges with the tomahawk, chops off Fitzgerald's fingers. So like both sustained injury right in the beginning of the fight. When you see the snow and all like the blood and guts, on this, they pounded the freaking sauce out of each other. You know what I mean? So it's just absolutely insane. Some struggles with the knife. I mean, it's a movie that came out 10 years ago, so I think we could just say that Fitzgerald ultimately succumbs to the chest wounds as Glass. Doesn't finish him, but multiple chest strikes until he remembers. Fitzgerald is like doubling down on the evil, no remorse, until Glass remembers what Haikuk told him, that revenge is in the hands of the creators. So as they're in the fight, Glass sees the Arikama coming up the river. The chief. I thought it said his name. I think it want to say it's Elk Hood, something like that. Elk Dog.
Yeah.
Chief Elk Dog is Powaka's father.
And I remember when I saw this at the movie theater first time, and maybe this is just me being ultra picky here, but when the chief, I'll say, dispatches justice to Fitzgerald, and Glass kind of just sits back, takes his breath, and the three then cross the river on the horses, and the chief's at the front and his daughter's behind him. I always wanted, and I guess it's me just to say it for no offense, oh Dad, this is a guy who saved me, by the way. But I guess the exchanging glances definitely does that, because it suggests that she recognizes him. I mean, the film doesn't say for 100%.
Oh yeah, she definitely does.
Yeah,
she definitely does 100%, because it obviously would have stuck out. I mean, the guys who kidnapped her spoke French. He obviously spoke multiple languages, and they saw kind of what he was doing to Fitzgerald. So it's a conflict between two white men, and unless they're directly involved, they don't care, right? Until he floats them down the river.
Yeah, and she
so
probably, she will have told her dad what happened. And,
100%.
She recognized him and knows, well, this guy 100%. Saved me. So if he's fighting this guy, the other guy must be a bad guy.
100%. Yeah, and I like how it's unspoken, as you said, because
maybe it's just me. Just sometimes I'm a bit picky like that.
No, I hear it, but I think it calls back to what you said earlier, where is it? It's letting the audience interpret it. How do you interpret it? You know what I mean? So it's like that beautiful filmmaking. It's not always a bad thing. But so Elk Dog. So when Fitzgerald told the story earlier, he was scalped in a skirmish with a native that he had. That's why he got this kind of top of his hair cut off, but he survived. But ultimately comes full circle here, where Elk Dog scalps him and kills him, leaves him dead in the frozen river. Some absolutely insane reaction shots of Fitzgerald's like frozen dead body under the cold water. You know what I mean? And also I love the ending too. It's a final shot. So this is obviously Argentina, like we were telling you guys. To keep the temperature down for them to get the frozen thing. The waterfall was Montana, I believe. I think it said it in the Wikipedia. So just a outro shot of the bloody snow of where they fought. That's like an amazing reaction shot, and then it's just Hugh Glass's face, just his reaction to everything, and I think it's a really perfect ending. I like the way it just ends immediately after the conflict, and it doesn't do the whole like what 80s and 90s movies do, which is like he goes back to the fort and talks to everybody and wraps it up for 20 minutes. Like you don't need that. You don't need that in this movie. You know what I mean? Like it's over. He went to get Fitzgerald. He didn't kill him, but Elk Dog did. So it's poetic justice. And it's all because, Fitzgerald was a racist character. He was like racist against anyone who was non-white. There are some historical inaccuracies, guys. When he references the Texas Rangers, there's no Texas or Texas Rangers at this time. But, it's all good. So it's not perfect, but it's an awesome film.
Well, it's never going to be anything like that, but it's one of the better movies in that area. It's
great.
Not like how Gladiator 2 is. Don't get me started on that.
I can't wait to see that.
I do like the fact that it suggests that he's going to be reunited with his wife. And although you don't see his son in that closing shot, but it suggests right now he will be with his wife and son. That was quite a nice end, as if the character's now going to get some peace after going through a hellish period. The back shot as well, in the background, where he's going up that hillside, sees his wife and she's the background. That was very well shot as well. That was good. And just as you said, the way just the film closes, the score on the credits is really good.
Absolutely.
Also, the lettering, I know I'm being ultra nerdy here, but the lettering as well just complements the film very nicely. It's not going totally overkill, over the top. And I do think this movie will continue to stand up, and it's one that, we may even end up revisiting it again at some point and talking about some particular angle that we've missed or some area, but I think this is going to be held up as one of the classics for sure.
I'll definitely watch that documentary, and if you guys want us to do it either members only or subs only, we could consider that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Talk about a little bit of production for you guys to portray the Arikara culture accurately. The filmmakers hired several cultural consultants and teamed up with 2 linguistics to provide faithful Arikara and Pawnee language lines for actors. Haikuk, the Pawnee man who helps Glass survive, is played by a Navajo actor. However, in one scene, a Pawnee character rescuing Glass is accompanied by a voiceover in Inupiaq, which is spoken in Arctic Alaska, thousands of kilometers away in different language family from Pawnee. The voiceover was a recording of Doreen Nutak Simons reading a poem from John Luther Adams. Recording the world's originally came from an Inuk woman named Uvanuk, and I won't go. She's a shaman and a poet, and I won't struggle through any more of those words. So let's see. There's a lot about. Oh, I did read some interesting things in development, Gaz. It said it went into production in 2001 for Samuel L. Jackson.
Really? I mean, interesting.
There's some mother effing furs on this mother effing mountain. You know what I mean? It's quite a different direction than DiCaprio. Also, at one point, Christian Bale, which that would have been dope. That's similar to Hostels, you know.
Yeah, he'd have possibly been okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think anything touches DiCaprio, but just just to talk of it. Los Angeles Review of Books critic Y.Chi DeMuck compared the Revenant's themes with those addressed in a litany of other works of James Fenimore Cooper, particularly The Last of the Mohegans. DeMuck argues that the film interprets the concepts of half-breeds from a derogatory idea that Cooper despised to an aesthetic way in which to see the world. She compared both works' protagonists, Glass and Hawkeye, as literary foils, with Glass living an inversion of the latter's biography and perspective. So there was some, obviously there's some, criticism with these type of things. Box office, Revenant grossed $183.6 million in the U.S., Canada, and $349.3 in other countries. Worldwide total of $553 million. Against a production budget of 135, and as I told you guys, it was supposed to be like around 60, and it ballooned past double. But I mean, it looks like it, but again, it's not like overinflated, and it's still everything was functional. You know what I mean? It just happens with a big kind of film. So I don't know if Pixie was saying she wants a Glass documentary, if there is one, because I don't know if there's any definitive one. There's some short things on YouTube. I watched one of them earlier. What we're saying. Okay, so the original story, so obviously Elk Dog handles Fitzgerald in the film. So the real story, guys, like Hugh's journey was much worse, much more difficult. He went much farther, went through a lot more. When he finally tracked down Fitzgerald, he joined the U.S. Army, and then Hugh Glass couldn't do anything about it because he was U.S. Army property. So very anticlimactic ending there, as Pixie was saying in the real story. Okay, so you did see it. Okay, so there is one. All right, well, shoot me the link. I know. The Revenant, Samuel, he just turns around like Pulp Fiction and just blows Fitzgerald away after
he was actually hilarious in the RoboCop reboot as the
I forgot he was in
TV host.
I love
it. There's that scene at the end where the just bleep out where he says that mother. It was awesome.
Oh I know. Yeah, I mean, luckily it was R, so he could have swore as much as he wanted. But
I'd have been in his element. He would have.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's just like a parallel universe, a completely opposite film. But like I said, Bale made a little sense. Like I was surprised to see Sam L, but I mean, you never know. I mean, obviously Sam L's in The Hateful Eight, and it's absolutely sick. So let's get to our ratings, Gazzy. We're just getting to an hour here. So IMDb, it's got almost 905,000 reviews. It's got a solid 8. I gave it a 9. It's a PXF classic. I love the Revenant. I'm a Revenant fan. I'm a Revenant fanboy of this one.
It has to be a 9. It should be higher than the 8, just for everything that was involved in terms of I guess of trying to make it as authentic and realistic as they were able. I have fond memories of this movie, particularly, as I said, we covered it on our old radio show back in the day. Mad Max Fury Road, one of my other favorite movies, came out the same year. So we got both of these, which was incredible. And if you do get a chance to see this, as Ross said, on either a big screen at home, or if they show it again at the movie theater, which they're starting to do now with movies, definitely go and see this, because to do the sense of scale that was involved with shooting the film, particularly with the landscape justice, you need to see this on a big screen.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. The cinematography scene is insane. Yeah. Did you guys figure out who that British chap was, guys? Was it
Paul Anderson?
Anderson. Okay, yeah. Christopher Joner, Joshua Burge, obviously Dwayne Howard played Elk Dog. He was sick. Anyway, yeah, it's just insane. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out, guys. I put the trailer below along with the documentary. So the film is absolutely insane. I don't think I have too much more on it. I would say go get a hard copy or go check it out. Yeah. Tom Hardy's insane in it. And definitely check out that documentary. It's free on YouTube. You get a digital copy if you buy the Blu-ray. And that's it. Shout out to the director. Obviously cleaned up. I mean, we didn't really cover, I guess, exactly what it won accolades-wise. So 88th Annual Awards. Inarritu won Best Director kind of for the second consecutive time. I wonder what his first one was. It might have been Birdman, because it seemed like a lot of his stuff was comedy, guys. He doesn't seem like a very comedic director.
Yeah, he's been active for a long time. Yeah, for sure.
He made the most violent grindhouse frontier film you ever seen in your life, and he's like, I also like comedy, and you're like, really?
Yeah. Well, apparently, there's some of his past films are Bardo, Amores Perros, 21 Grams, Babel. Beautiful.
Yeah, I seen 21 Grams. Yeah. It wasn't as good as this. It's
no, definitely wasn't.
No, it's more like anyway. So what were we saying there? Wait, that's Golden Globes where I got lost. Best. Okay, Emmanuel Luzabecki won Best Cinematographer for the third consecutive time. I would actually like to see what else he won for, guys, because it's like, if his cinematography is that good in this, like, it must be as good in other films. Hardy lost Best Supporting to Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies, and I never saw. I don't know what Bridge of Spies is. And the film itself lost Best Picture to Spotlight. Like, how did I heard Spotlight's good. Okay, I know what it's about. Like, I'm sure it has great acting in it. How did Spotlight beat Best Picture? Beat this for Best Picture? Like, nothing could beat Best Picture for this. Nothing can.
This in 2015, the Revenant and Mad Max Fury Road were the best films.
Cleaned
up.
Mad Max had the best sound.
Yeah.
1-4. I'm assuming Daniel Day-Lewis, right? Isn't he, or did he win 5? I think he's the only one with that many consecutives. 73 Golden Globe Awards. It won 3. Best Motion Picture Drama. Hold on. Revenant's a drama? I guess, kind of, but it moves pretty fast for a drama. Like, I mean, it's definitely dialogue driven, but I mean, there's a lot of action in there too. Like,
yeah,
that was just their way of Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Director, Best Actor Drama. So it won those 3 Golden Globes. It also had a nomination for Best Original Score. Like me and you guys were saying, I could have seen it win that Best Original Score, you know?
And I've just been quickly looking up some of his earlier films. Apparently is what was this? This might be interesting for us to cover. One of his previous films from 2000, Amores Perros, which is Love Dogs. Apparently that's part of the trilogy, and this doesn't go with this goes with the comedy theme you're suggesting, Ross. Apparently this is the part of the trilogy known as Trilogy of Death. So
but sounds like a funny guy.
Yeah, it sounds interesting though. Story centering a teenager in the slums who gets involved in dogfighting.
That sounds dope. I like dogfighting.
Yeah, and more about it. So that's something we could possibly look at and say, look, here was one of his earlier films. This is kind of like where he was then and what he did.
Dogs, do you like dogs? Yeah, this was the most action-packed drama I've ever watched.
yeah. They'll be getting a company Netflix series soon to go on about the romance parts in the film as well.
Yeah, no shit. He talked about his wife like once or twice, so let's make a 4-season prequel about that. Yeah. Let's see. The Revenant. Okay, so he did Birdman. That's his epic comedy style director. He directed 22 things. Beautiful, Babel. I thought I watched Babel and it was like super mediocre. Did he direct that?
Yeah, I think I think that was one we did think
so
about
slow
covering
paced.
on the radio show.
And I watched 21 Grams. Yeah. I don't know how this guy made The Revenant. None of his other movies are even anywhere like remotely close to this. Yeah. The Lands of Silence, but he's a genius level director. I mean, look, far be it for me to criticize his work. I mean, he simply has no idea who I am. So, I mean, anyway, guys. Leo after. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's I forgot. Yeah, I forgot I was going to mention that. Yeah, so a lot of people said Leo should have got it for Wolf of Wall Street, which was awesome. But I mean, yeah, he realized once he ate, raw buffalo liver and slept inside a carcass that there was nothing left that they could do to say that he wasn't good enough for an Oscar.
Well, you can say, look, I've just put in the world's best method acting performance ever. So
yeah, exactly. Like Leonardo DiCaprio went on suspension while Hugh Glass took the lead in that film. Yeah. So it's epic, guys. Great, by the way. Go check it out. I think we're basically out. UFC 313, right? Pixie, who do you got? We got Alex Pereira versus Anklov. We have Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev. It's a step in for Fiziev because Hooker's out. I think Blades is on the undercard. A couple other decent undercard fights there. So, which Wolfman, brother? There's that new one, and then there's the old Benicio. I haven't seen either one, but I'd be down to check them out. I've seen
the older one. The new one's not meant to be that dope, actually. Yeah. But hey, if you want us to cover it, we could take a look.
If you guys want us to cover it, we can cover it. Slipknot, we still got your stuff coming up. Sorry, man. Yeah. I had a couple things you suggested, and I bumped it. Yeah, I know. The vegetarian dude, that liver shot out of his stomach at warp speed.
Yeah.
But I think The Man in the Wilderness is definitely our follow-up for this because I want to see how they did in 71 with the same concept. And then, I mean, you guys know what we got coming up, Boondock Saints.
Next week with Crypt Rick, so that's going to be very, very interesting. Not seen Boondock Saints for a long time, but that's going to be good. Great to talk about. So very, very amped for that.
What else did we post on the list, Pixie? Because I don't know if the one I wrote down changed. I think we had was it Horror Express after that, and then
Invasion USA possibly.
Yeah, sounds good. And then we'll post April soon. So Desert Fiends is dropping April 8th, guys. I crowdfunded that, so we're going to peep Desert Fiends, and then I think we had something coming up before that. We'll definitely have some cool shows coming up for you guys. Definitely have some cool stuff in the mix. High Plains Drifter that kind of goes along with this theme. Then Desert Fiends. And hopefully something good for around Easter weekend. Haven't really thought of it, but we'll push some stuff further down. I know Bloodsport is going to be coming up at the end of next month. So, Greg, if you're there, you could join us for that.
Yeah.
And we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep the hits rolling for you guys. But, UFC 313, we'll be watching it tonight. Come rock with us on Twitter, the Horror Express, Division USA, and hopefully we'll get some more stuff.
Don't forget, folks, next week, Ross, myself, with Crypt Rick, Boondock Saints. It's going to be epic.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, tap in for that. And I'm going to help Rick out. He's having trouble getting a stream. But, Rick, it's free on Tubi. So if you have Tubi under TV at all, it should be free on there. But Rick's in Canada, so I don't know if Tubi. Do you have Tubi out there, guys?
We do, but I can help him out as well.
Okay, I can help out as well. I think everyone has Tubi, Rick, but we'll get you a stream of Boondock and see if you guys like that. The Revenant 2015 trailers below, documentary links below. Like, sub, share, get a membership for all early drops of the Zodiac Files main series. And the true crime shows are coming up, as I've been saying, guys. A little kind of semi-off week here, but we'll be rocking soon. So join us next week for St. Patty's. Everyone's going to be Irish with our boy Crypt Rick from Canada. And we'll be getting our French Trapper on Frontier style. We're out. That's the Revenant, DiCaprio, Hardy, an absolute PXF classic. So
Def.
Rocco! Yeah, Rocco's my man, too. He's the Italian guy. The Italian guy's kind of an idiot, like William Dafoe Smecker says. Boom, pop over there and check out that stuff too. And I have a few more things to update too regarding other movie clips and Patreon stuff as well. So that's it, guys. We're out. Tune in next week on Boondock Saints. Shout out to everybody who came through. Yeah, it's David Della Rocco. So he knows those guys from being a bartender with them with Troy when Troy bought the bar, and he did what's that? 5 Fingers of Death or something. It was like the biker one he did not long ago. It was pretty good. I've seen Rocco in a couple other things. He's super dope though. I mean, that's the guy. He does conventions with them and all that. All right, gang. Peace to Slipknot, and yeah, like we got your stuff coming up soon, Slippy. Either King of Ants or Anthropophagus, however you say that movie. All right, guys, that's a good stopping point.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something else then, actually. That's why I didn't encourage you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if guys had an off button, he would have just cut it off right there. Subscribe to Mosh Shinobi and peep the Patreon. We're out, guys. The Revenant 1. Catch us next week.